Today, we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating, the world of cellular wellness. We'll be tracking the story of a very specific technology, a technology that kind of existed before science could fully back it up. It's a journey from just believing it works to seeing the clinical proof. We're going to break down its story, the science behind it, and what it's all supposed to do.
You know, this quote from Schopenhauer, it pretty much nails the story we're about to tell. It's the classic path for any big new idea, right? And for the technology we're talking about today, its supporters would say it was way ahead of its time, and that it's finally moving out of that opposition phase and into that self-evident acceptance.
So, where did this all begin? Well, the whole origin story really boils down to one critical moment, one big choice, the decision to go for a long-term vision instead of just grabbing a quick payday. This was a real fork-in-the-road moment. The story goes that the founder, Vertus Norton, got this huge buyout offer from a pharmaceutical company. The catch? They wanted to buy the technology just to shelve it, to make it disappear. He said no. He chose the harder path, to build a company from the ground up with the mission of getting this stuff out to the world. And that one choice, it changed everything about how they did business. The thinking was, look, this isn't something you can just stick on a shelf at the store. It needs a story. It needs an explanation. So they went with a word-of-mouth model, person to person, where people could really share the science and their own experiences.
All right, let's switch gears and get into the nitty-gritty science here. To really get what this technology is, we have to tackle the biggest misconception right up front, the idea that this is all just fancy salt water.
Okay, so look at this. This is their big counter-argument to that salt water claim. On the left, you've got a reagent being added to regular saline. Nothing happens. But on the right, you add that same reagent to the product, and boom, you get an instant reaction. This is their proof that the liquid is bioactive. It's not just salt and water anymore. They say the final product is bioidentical, meaning it's made of the same signaling molecules that your own body produces.
So how is it supposed to work? Well, they use this great fire truck analogy. Picture a health issue in your body as a fire. Your diet, your immune system, that's the fire truck. It has all the equipment to put out the fire. But here's the problem. Sometimes the call for help gets dropped. The cellular signal is weak. This technology isn't trying to be the fire truck. It's trying to be the dispatcher, amplifying that signal so your body can send its own resources to exactly where they need to go.
Here's another way to think about it, which I actually find really helpful. Imagine your body is a glass, and every day, life stressors, bad food, toxins, just getting older, are all pouring into that glass. That's called allostatic load. Now, your genes might decide how big your glass is, but the goal is to keep it from overflowing, because the overflow, that's disease. This is where redox signaling is supposed to come in. It's your cell's communication network. By improving that signaling, the idea is that this technology acts like a drain in the glass, helping you manage all that stress before it becomes a real problem.
So for years, it was all about these stories and analogies. It was a leap of faith for a lot of people. But now, the company is pointing to some brand new research that they say changes the game entirely, a shift from faith to fact, from story to science.
The big headline number from a 2024 study by Aspen Labs is a whopping 89%. But 89% of what? That's the real question, isn't it? An 89% reduction is huge, but we need to know what it's reducing.
Okay, let's unpack what's going on in these graphs. That 89% reduction, it was in key inflammatory markers, specifically one called interleukin-1 beta, over 120 days. That's a protein that basically runs the show when it comes to inflammation in the body. At the same time, look at what happened with glutathione. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. It's absolutely crucial for protecting your cells. The study says it wasn't just boosted, it was auto-modulated, basically optimized. But here's the kicker. The real magic, as they say, happens in months 3 and 4. This isn't a quick fix. It's positioned as a long-term play for your health.
So all this science isn't just for one thing. It's the engine behind a whole two-part system, what they call a cellular wellness ecosystem. You've got the drink that works from the inside out, supporting your whole system, and then you have the topical gel, Renew 28, which you can apply for targeted relief on the outside. The idea is to hit cellular health from every angle.
And when you look at the gel specifically, the numbers are pretty impressive. They call it the Swiss Army knife of wellness, and here's why. Studies they cite show a 16% faster turnover of your skin cells, a massive 49% jump in blood flow to an area within just 15 minutes, and a 20% improvement in skin elasticity. So yeah, it's for way more than just your face.
So, with this new science in their back pocket, the company's totally shifting its game plan. For years, they were playing defense, just trying to prove the technology was real. Now, they're going on offense, focusing on growth and building a lasting legacy.
And it's not just about marketing. They're making some big changes internally, pouring a ton of money back into their network. A huge part of that is this cultural shift. They're changing the name from associates to brand partners. It's their way of living up to this philosophy they have. We don't build checks, we build people.
You know, this really goes back to the very beginning. The founder, Verdiz, always said his greatest asset wasn't the bank account. It was this collection he had of letters and stories from people whose lives had changed. It's all about community and purpose. It's how they're connecting their past, which was built on faith, to their present, which they say is now built on a foundation of knowledge.
So what's next? Well, they're all in on this surfing metaphor, and it's pretty powerful. If you want to ride a wave, you have to be paddling before it arrives. They see this perfect storm brewing, the new science, the new branding, and this massive global boom in wellness, and they believe it's creating a giant wave of opportunity.
So, you've got the health, you've got the purpose, and you've got this wave of opportunity they're talking about. The foundation is all there. The only question left is, are you gonna start paddling?